Life with Tommy.
Once named as one of the country's 20 most powerful businesswomen by the Financial Mail, Sindi Mabaso-Koyane has held positions such as Group CFO for large parastatals, served on several JSE-listed boards, and founded the African Women Chartered Accountants. But it is her holistic approach to leadership that most shines through. Steve Jobs once said that innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Our next guest will better align with that quote. Please help me in welcoming the amazing Sindi Koyane. So Sindi, you have been a trailblazer right from the beginning of your career. Just give us a little bit of background.
Well, trailblazer, yeah, interesting. I guess we take it from people who've gone ahead of us. But my life, basically, I was born and bred in Durban, in a township called Umlazi.
Umlazi girl.
Yes, indeed. So the trailblazer then was obviously the single mother.
Yes.
That brought me up with my brother. And I think professionally, I followed the accounting route as a chartered accountant and have navigated my path in the corporate world, mainly the public sector.
Yes.
And then currently I'm a mother of two, I'm a wife.
Aww.
And yeah. So
still trailblazing.
Well, one space that forces you to trailblaze is parenting.
Yeah.
You realize there is a life that is being crafted around you, around your behaviors. So rightly so, you are pushed into a path of continuously and conscientiously walking a journey that you know you are modeling somebody's life. So I would say as a parent, that is one role that automatically puts you in a leadership space.
And I don't know if a lot of parents realize that they are actually leaders within their households and really determining the mindset and the destiny of those young ones that are looking up to you. How do you reconcile your profile as a very influential business person and being a wife and a mother?
It's exactly realizing that a leader is not somebody who gets given a title or gets put in some pedestal and say, yes, now here are the people to lead. It is basically navigating those different roles, understanding that you have to walk the talk. One thing that we need to know as leaders is that, and through children, I've learned this, being that mother and that wife, actually, is that people won't generally do what you are busy preaching to them, what you are busy asking them to do. People will do what they see you do.
Yes, so true.
Once you've been accorded that position of leadership, you know, a child will not watch television if you are sitting watching television till late at night.
Do you think you choose leadership or do you become a leader by virtue of doing what you do? Others see you and they think there's something there worth emulating or something there worth following, and then by virtue of your position and by virtue of you just being who you are and doing what you're doing, you become a leader? Or do you think that you actually choose that?
You know, the environment that you are placed in has to be conducive. So that is where then, you know, the whole role of leadership is that what are you nurturing amongst people you lead, and even yourself? What was nurtured for you? What was the environment from home, from your school, from your school and from, you know, corporate, where you then start living your life, or even I'll say your country and even globally. What is the environment that you are continuously finding yourself in? So that becomes an element that breeds leaders. However, added to that is your own outlook to life, is how you then drive yourself, lead yourself. Because one thing we forget, you can't proclaim to be a leader leading people it starts with leading yourself.
Yeah.
What life do you lead as Sindi Mabaso-Koyane? Then can be accorded the status. So it is a combination, Tammy, of, have you walked the path where then people have naturally, because sometimes it does come across like that, where naturally at home you grow up, you're the one who starts taking the leadership position and making suggestions and recommendations. When parents ask, I had an uncle who used to say, Ngan. So it's the one that would say,
Mina malum. Yes.
Yebo malum.
Yeah.
That continuously put themselves in the forefront. Then you start realizing that I've already taken a leadership role. So it's instinctively, it is the environment where somebody empowered you to raise your hand and allow you to take the step forward.
I'd like to rewind here to when you finished your degree and you just qualified as a chartered accountant. What is it that made you decide to form the African Woman Chartered Accountant?
Tammy, it was number one, the space and the environment we found ourselves in, where it was clear we do not have Black women chartered accountants. There were very few at the time. And so we are just about 1% of the entire population of chartered accountants in the country, which was about 20,000 about there then. So it was that realization. But I think secondly, it was the realization that I've continuously come across that says, if you want to live an enriched life, you need to invest in a rich environment, and enrich the environment and the people around you. You cannot thrive in an environment where you're the only one. You're amongst the few. As exciting, as sexy as it sounds, it's got its challenges because we found ourselves as the few Black women chartered accountants being spread thin, and with our country providing an environment where it says, of course, Black people can be economically active. So when that challenge was brought to white business, white South Africa, and when they started looking for the Black business people, Black women chartered accountants,
where were they?
We realized there were few.
Yes.
So what then happened is that the few, yes, we were given a steep learning curve. However, we needed to make sure that the supply was going to meet the demand that all of a sudden became so much in our country.
And that is such a selfless attitude, Sindi. Selfless. Because I find that a lot of people pride themselves in being the only one. A lot of people pride themselves in being the special one. But when you have had the opportunity and the gift of an education, and you've had the opportunity to rise above the rest, when you realize that you actually have a responsibility to those that you left behind and those who are like you. So as you rise, then you lift. That, in my opinion, is just the mark of true leadership. That's awesome, Sindi. We'll be right back after this break because I want us to chat more about you and your personal journey.
Right.
Because you are a very spiritual person as well. And that really has fueled you and taken you to where you are right now. We are with Sindi Mabaso-Koyane. I noticed the double barrel surname when you spoke about yourself. We'll be right back with her after this.
Life with Tommy. Life with Tommy.
Welcome back to Life with Tommy. We are talking authentic leadership today. We're talking about living from the inside out and leading from the inside out. It may be in your family, it may be in your career, in whatever space that you inhabit. Who are you and what is the influence that you have to those around you? We've got with us Sindi Mabaso-Koyane. You at some point went to India. You went on some spiritual journey. Tell us more about that and what actually incited that move.
Right. Tammy, that encounter changed my life, but I guess because there was already a foundation. I grew up in a Christian family. And when I went to India at the time, it was again more from a journey of searching, because yes, we grew up in Christian families, we grew up in families that, ground certain values in us. And when you then get out to the world is dynamic, it's got exciting things in life, and it's got its own challenges. And what was going on in my life at the time, I had just lost my mother. I had just become a mother, realizing this enormous responsibility. I had just become a wife, where I need to now be conscientious that I now don't walk a journey of this selfish, professional career woman.
It's not you anymore.
It's not just about me
So you were
anymore.
shell-shocked, really.
So I was overwhelmed.
Yes.
And I belonged to a network because, again, like AWCA, the power of networks and professional networks, mainly from a support point of view, because, again, a journey cannot just be a journey of a loner. So I was part of a network called the Young Presidents Organization. It's a global organization, and they usually posted certain, events, material, leadership seminars. And there was this seminar amongst a number of other seminars, treasury, financial, private equity, investment management.
There was India.
There was this one seminar amongst all that said life in focus. How to focus your life and live a meaningful life. I picked that seminar and I said, that's the one I'm going to this year to just unpack. And as I say, it was overwhelming because, it also enlightened me into the whole Eastern culture of spirituality, which is more about, the internal journey, more than, again, I think, without criticizing, I think we grew up more listening and people telling us, and it was more about knowledge being given to us more than you extracting things internally for yourself.
So this was a journey of discovery from the inside out.
From the inside out. And as cliche as it sounds, it is part of that getting, most of leaders who talk about authentic leadership, be it Robin Sharma, Deepak Chopra, you start hearing about the value of getting out of the rush,
the rat race,
going to the mountains, spending time with self, forcing yourself to say, am I driven by the excitement around me, or I'm driven by that authenticity of knowing what I stand for? Because again, when people say you are a leader and you call yourself a leader amongst people, when people say Sindi Mabaso-Koyane, do they know what she stands for? When something comes up and people say, not the Sindi we know, because this is what we know she stands for.
What does Sindi stand for?
Again, starting with that spiritual grounding. Again, Sindi stands for knowing that what I am is through those who've gone ahead of me. What I am has been enabled by this higher being who transcends all of us. What I am is informed by the environment around me. I cannot isolate myself around it. I cannot be the only one and be excited about that. What I am is about building the people around me, my kids, myself to start with. So that continuous learning, be it in the professional space, be it in the personal space, that continuous self-development, which then naturally develops the people next to me. Because yes, I will share, but what is most important is people sing.
Yeah.
That's what I stand for. I will, most of the time, get down there and do what we need to do
to get the job
for a common interest, for a common goal. And that is what people around me, that have given me sometimes that leadership position. In some cases, you have to take leadership. It is also...
When
it
have you
depends on
had to
you.
take leadership?
You know, I guess my professional role has sometimes put me in that spot. Having trained as a chartered accountant, having had to lead financial roles in large corporates, which comes with financial governance and financial discipline. There are times when it has become very important that you realize that the sustainability of a business hangs within finance. You know, the sustainability of the business means that ethical conduct and integrity, that number one, we are trained in as chartered accountants, but number two, which is something I have tried and thrived. I'm not saying I am, but I have tried and continuously, you know, driven myself. So there are some environments where we've had to find ourselves, you know, being led where the value system is not in sync, and being given this role of being the financial head.
And
I've had to take the bull by its horns.
And you take that very seriously.
I take it very seriously because that's where I've raised my hand. This is where I'm a professional. This is where when I go into a business environment, this is what I have grounded myself in, is in finance, financial discipline, and governance.
So you need to know what you're signing up for.
Exactly.
When you say, yes, I will,
Yes.
indeed you must.
Yes, indeed.
And that means the good times and the bad times.
That's
It
correct.
means the challenges and the glory, because that all forms part of the package.
That's true.
Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thanks.
We're with Sindi Mabaso-Koyane, and we're talking authentic leadership in all the spheres of our lives. It may be in the boardroom, it may be in your home, it may be even with yourself. Just being aware of who you are, what you stand for, and what you aim to do. We'll be right back after the commercial break.
Life with Tommy.